Well, hi, and thanks for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. We've got a beautiful spring day here in New England. I know you're watching this. It's probably late fall, early winter by the time you see this video. But for me, it's springtime. The buds are just starting to pop. The things are greening up. It's wonderful, absolutely beautiful around here. And it's only going to get prettier. So I'm out here enjoying a really nice day with a very mild breeze, about maybe 5 to 7 miles an hour, and I'm shooting this brand new, well, not brand new, it's new to me, it looks brand new, you'd swear it just came out of the box. It's a Beeman C1 carbine. This one's in 177 caliber. Now these were made by Webley and Scott in Great Britain, and they were made between 1981 and 1996. So obviously you can't buy one of these anymore unless you can find a used one, which I was lucky enough to do. The scope that you see on here is kind of unique because it's also goes along with the period of the rifle. They were being sold at the same time. In fact, if I remember right, the Beeman catalog remarked that this scope would be the perfect scope for this rifle, and I kind of agree. However, this is a very low-powered scope, and it's only 2.5 power. It's got a 16 millimeter objective lens, so it's a little bit small for this gun at 25 yards. I'm finding that it's I can just about cover a 1-inch target at that range, so it's hard to be super precise. But for a short range hunting rifle, put a sling on this thing, a nice leather sling, boy, have you got a nice handy gun. It's only 38 inches long. It's tiny. It only weighs 6.3 pounds, so it's extremely light, super handy rifle. The factory rated these at about 830 feet per second. I'm sure that was with a very lightweight pellet. We're going to shoot it today with the pellets that it seems to be shooting the best so far. I checked it with about 4 or 5 different types of pellets this morning before we fired up the cameras, and it seems to me that the H&N Barracuda Match pellets, even though they're rather heavy, they're 10.6 grain pellets. It seems to like these. It seems to like them a lot. So we're going to go ahead and use those today when we put it over the chronograph, and we're going to see what kind of numbers we get, and we'll look at the energy figures and see what kind of power this gun's developing. Let's see what else. It's rather high cocking effort. Because of that short barrel and relatively stiff spring in there, it does make for a relatively difficult gun to cock. If I remember right, and don't quote me, but I think the Beeman catalog rated it around 30 or 35 pounds of cocking effort. I have no way of measuring that, so I'm going to stick with that because it sounds just about right. It's a Webley, and typical Webleys of that era, their triggers were not anything to write home about. Now, there are a few exceptions. I have a Webley Eclipse, which is an underlever rifle with a flip-up type breech loading system. Very unique rifle. I did cover that on one of my videos if you're interested in seeing it. But that gun has a delightful trigger. And I also have a Webley longbow that was customized, and that gun has an absolutely surreal trigger. It's fantastic. It rivals anything else in my inventory, including any of the Viral triggers, the record triggers. However, the trigger on this C1, well, it basically stinks. It feels like you're pulling a stick out of the mud with your finger, and it's hard, and it's really in there with a lot of suction, and you're pulling, and you're pulling, and you're pulling, and it just keeps coming out. It doesn't get any easier, and all of a sudden, when you have no idea how long that stick is, because you have no idea when this thing is going to break, and all of a sudden that stick breaks, and you're surprised, and the gun goes off. And so it's really hard for me to be super accurate. I do plan to take that apart and see about stoning some of the surfaces. And if I can figure out a way to reduce the amount of sear engagement, I'm going to do that as well, because this gun would really benefit from a much not just lighter pull, but a lot less creep. It just creeps through the whole walk, and it's a long, long walk back before it finally breaks. So you'll see that. If you watch me and my fingers, I'm pulling on that thing so hard that I'm pulling the gun off target. So it's kind of tough for me to shoot, but I think if we address that, it'll make for just a perfect little hunting rifle. So at any rate, we're going to cut away here. We'll come back. We'll do a trigger pull test. Again, that should be interesting. From there, we'll move on to the chronograph, and then we'll take it out to 25 yards and see what kind of group we can shoot with this wonderful little Beeman C1 carbine in 177 caliber. So stick around. This ought to be fun. And thanks again for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. Okay, so we're at the bench again with the Beeman C1 Carbine and 177 caliber. I used to have one of these when I was a young man, and I foolishly sold it because I wanted to get into PCPs. That was about maybe 20 years ago. And then I had my run with PCPs. I spent a lot of money on them, and I did enjoy them, but I felt I was lacking something with this PCPs. There's just no personality. They're so sterile and so precise. There's no challenge anymore. After you shoot one for a while, you get like, all right, well, I can hit that, I can hit that, I can reach out there at 100 yards, and I can still hit what I'm aiming at. There's just this old, especially guys my age, and if you guys may not realize this, but I can look at analytics on my channel, and I can see who watches my videos. I can see it in gender, I can see age groups, and I'll tell you that my biggest age group is guys right in my age, between 50 and 70 years old. They're right in there, and I'm going to be turning 62 in June. And the reason for that, I think, is we're going back to the heyday of the spring-powered air rifle. They ruled the world. There was no PCPs to speak of until towards the end of the Springer era. So everybody was shooting these. There was a race for power. Beeman came out with their Beeman R1, and that was the gun to beat. And so now we have guns that claim they're shooting over 1,000 feet per second in 177 caliber. But back in those days, 800 feet per second was a lot, and that's what this little gun was rated for, 830 feet per second in 177 caliber. This little gun is just adorable. It's so cute, so I don't know, I just like it. I like handling this rifle. It's just really, really sweet. That straight stock really makes a difference too. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to check this trigger and be prepared. I think we're both going to be surprised. I haven't tried this gun with the trigger gauge yet, so I don't really know what to expect. But if I had to guess, I'm going to guess that it's upward of 6 pounds, and it might even be closer to 10. Now, this gun does not have an automatic safety. It does have a manual safety here on the left-hand side of the action, which I really like. I prefer a manual safety over an automatic safety. All right, get this ready. All right, trigger pull number 1. Did we just load a pellet? I think we did. Let's double check that. I get talking to you guys, you know, I forget what I'm doing. Yeah, we got a pellet in there. All right, shot number 1. Well, it's a little better than I thought. 4 pounds, 2.7 ounces. That wasn't as bad as I made it out to be, was it? In fact, I mean, for a sporting trigger, that's acceptable. For a hunting gun, I guess that would be just fine. For me, shooting off the bench, it sure does make it difficult. Shot number 2. 4 pounds, 2.3 ounces. Consistent. All right. My guess was off. Okay, we'll do 3 shots, and we'll take an average. Shot number 3. 4 pounds, 1 ounce. Average, 4 pounds, 2 ounces. So that's not terrible. So maybe I can't blame the trigger if I start missing when we do the target shooting. All right, anyway, we're going to cut it right. While we're here, I'm going to be back in a flash, and we'll have the chronograph up and running, and we'll see what this thing's pushing for numbers with these H&N Barracuda 10.65 grain pellets. All right, so stick around. I'll be right back. See, I told you I'd be back in a flash. All right, so we've got the chronograph set up. We've got our H&N Barracuda match pellets at 10.65 grains. We've got the Beeman C1 Carbine, this diminutive little rifle, and we're going to see what kind of power we get shooting these heavy, heavy pellets. So I'm not expecting huge numbers. This gun appears to be in brand new condition. I have no idea internally what kind of condition the seals are in, but it doesn't really have much of a, what's the word, vibration or buzz to it. It's just the tiniest amount, which I'm not sure I'm going to even address. although I may not be able to resist taking this gun apart because I want to address that trigger anyway. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It might be another video where we get into this gun and play with the trigger a little bit, and also maybe reseal it while we're at it. Alright, so this will be shot number 1 across the chronograph with the Beeman C1 carbine and 177 caliber. Shot number 1. 671. 671. Don't forget, these are heavy pellets, so the factory claimed 830 feet per second, but you and I both know that that was with a super lightweight pellet. Shot number 2. 669. We're going to take an average and we'll compute the muzzle energy for you, so you'll be able to see what kind of power this little rifle has. And shot number 3. 3? Yeah, 3. Every time, I do it every time. Shot is 666, folks. That's 666. I don't know. Should we take this as an omen? Alright. That was 666. Shot number 4. 671. Seems rather consistent. Very nice little rifle. Alright. 671 was the last. This is shot number 5, and this shot number is going to read 668. Alright, so we'll throw those numbers up on the screen for you. We'll give you the energy. We'll show you what the spread was. But so far, I'm kind of impressed with this little rifle. Shooting those pellets at those speeds is definitely a nice short-range hunting rifle, definitely. Alright, so we'll put the numbers up for you, and then we'll cut here. We'll come back, and we're going to do a little target shooting at 25 yards. So stick around. This ought to be fun, too. Okay, so we're back at the bench. We're at 25 yards with the Beeman C1 carbine air rifle, fitted with a vintage Beeman SS1 scope. These originally had a little rubber eye cup, and unfortunately this one's missing. If anyone knows where I can find one, I would love to get pointed in the right direction. But at any rate, we're going to be shooting at 25 yards. We're going to be using H&N Barracuda match pellets, and without wasting any more time, let's get started. Now we're going to zoom in, and we're going to be shooting at the black dot, and more or less in the center of that little frame. We'll take 5 shots, and we'll see how we do, and if we can't seem to get it to group, maybe we'll do 10 shots. We'll see. Alright, because I have not been able to shoot this gun anywhere near as accurately as I imagine it can shoot, but again, I haven't messed with too many brands of pellets, so who knows. But if it weren't for this darn trigger, I'm sure I could be a lot more precise. Alright, shot number 1. A little high, dead center. Shot number 1. You might be able to hear the tiniest bit of buzz. If I do take this gun apart, that's going to go away. Shot number 2. A little to the left and a little bit lower. Not too bad so far. The trigger is so difficult that it makes my trigger finger shake with the stress that it's under the pull. In fact, it's such a long creeping pull. I'm going to zoom you in. I want you to watch my trigger on this next shot. This will be shot number 3, I think. We'll figure it out when I look down range. But at any rate, I want you to watch my finger. Watch how far the travel is before the gun goes off. And it's not a 2-stage trigger. It's a single stage. So we're just pulling the sear until it finally drops out of the way. So crazy. Watch this. This is shot number 3. high and right. I'll keep you zoomed in on my finger because that one went off before I expected it to, which meant I'd probably put a little more pressure than I have been. Alright, keep an eye on that trigger finger. This will be shot number 4. You gotta stop and take a breath. Crazy. That number 4. See what I mean? It's crazy. I hope you could see that. It just took forever. I was ready to stop and take a second breath. I was starting to run out of breath before the gun was ready to go off. So this thing really needs to have that addressed somehow. So I got to figure out how to do that. I don't like to do trigger work too much on camera, only because of the liabilities involved. So I probably won't show you guys what I do there. But we may come back and visit the accuracy on this gun once it's done, that's for sure. Alright, this is shot number 5. I don't know, that looks like a decent group. It's hard for me to see, but it looks like it's not much bigger than the 1-inch bullseye. It's just shooting a little bit high. So let's see if it continues. Let's go for 10 shots. Why not, right? And so I don't mess up again, and while I'm thinking of it, we're going to line up the next 5 right here on the bench. Because I always lose count. You guys know that. It's kind of a running joke on my channel. I can never remember how many shots I've fired. I'm going to put these 5 pellets out here, and we'll see what we can do here. Alright. Okay, so shot number 6. Something else I noticed, and which may be contributing to accuracy issues, is I haven't got too many pellets to choose from. But the bore on this, and as I've heard and read on some of the forums, British bores tend to run a little bit large, especially in 22. But it does seem as though that's the case with this gun, because most pellets just drop in. In fact, I had one dry fire because when I closed the action, I hadn't noticed that the pellet flew out of the breech. That's something you got to be careful of. These pellets that we're shooting now, the Barracuda match pellets, they seem to fit fairly snugly, so I don't have that issue. Alright, shot number 6. Shot number 6. They seem to be grouping pretty good. It looks like I might have to adjust my scope down a little bit. Shot number 7. Again, we got a little wind today too, so and I'm really not waiting for the wind to stop as a rule. This is shot 7. Beeman C1 Carbine. I always loved this little rifle for the years that I had it. I'll tell you another funny story, because I don't think my friend watches my channel. But a friend had a problem with squirrels, and he asked me, he said, "Hey Kev, can I borrow an air rifle?" Because he knew I had air rifles, and I said, "Sure." "What's going on?" He said, "I need to take care of some squirrels." I said, "I got just the gun." I had this exact gun set up the exact same way with the same scope, the whole 9 yards. It was pristine. And I gave it to my friend. And I said, just, keep it as long as you need it and give it back to me. I went over all the safety rules and what to do and what not to do. And never dry fire, always hold the barrel, and so on and so forth. I gave him all of that information. And so anyway, months went by, and one day he came by my shop and he handed me back the rifle. He says, "I bought one of my own." He says, "I love this thing." He says, "But I can't seem to shoot anything with it anymore. So I think the scope went out of whack." This is shot number 7. Shot number 7. You can see it's got kind of a shotgun pattern down there. Some of the pellets seem to be hitting in the same place. And I'm going to blame it mostly on this trigger. So anyway, my friend gave me back the rifle. And a couple of months later, I decided I was going to sell it. So I put an ad on one of the classified ads, and I got a guy that was interested in shooting it. And I said, "Oh, you know what? I haven't fired this thing since I got it back from my friend." So I opened the door one night while it was dark out, and I fired a couple of shots down into the dirt just to be sure that it was functioning properly. This is shot number 8. Number 8. So anyway, the following day I threw it in a box. That was shot number 9, by the way, because we only had one pellet left. So I put it in a box. I shipped it off to the guy, and I got a call a few days later from him. And he said, "Hey Kev, there's something wrong. I think the barrel's bent on this gun." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because it's shooting way too high. I can't get the adjustment out of the scope, so I put a square on the barrel and it's not level." And I said, "I'll be a son of a gun." And then it dawned on me that I hadn't checked to see if it was shooting straight. All I did is check to make sure it shot. I ended up giving him about $100 back so he could get the barrel bent back into position. And that was a learning experience for me. And for him as well, I assume. Alright, so this is the final shot, shot number 10. Alright. Okay, so that is the Beeman C1 carbine in 177 caliber. I'd say it did okay for itself. I'm sure it could do better if we put better glass on it, if we got a better trigger going, and if we chose the right pellet. I haven't experimented enough with different pellets to be sure that I found one that's going to shoot really well. However, I think it pulled itself through this test pretty well, and I think it's worthy of a shot at that bell out there at 60 yards. We're going to be shooting the 10.65 grain Barracuda match pellet, so hopefully you'll be able to hear that when it strikes, if it strikes. I shouldn't get too cocky, I never know. Alright, this will be shot number 1 attempt at the bell at 60 yards with the Beeman C1 carbine. Yes, indeed. That was a strike. I hope you could hear it. Didn't seem all that loud. We'll try it again. What a sweet little rifle. I hope we can get this thing shooting a little better. Shot number 2. That's better. Love this little gun. Like I said, I used to have one. I missed it, and I really wanted one back. And when this one came around, and I had, I mean, it looked nice in the pictures, but once I got it in my hand, I was so impressed. What a beautiful little rifle. Oh, we missed. We can't go for 3 without getting 3. Try that again. I don't know exactly what the holdover is, but I must have changed it. Alright, let's try it again. There we go. Beeman C1 carbine, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank you for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Hit the bell to be reminded of future videos, and by all means, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this one. Thanks again, folks. Have a great day.